just want to participate and read paranormal romance. Hello, welcome to Rissel Reads. I'm Deja, and today we are going to be doing a Love in the Night paranormal romance reading vlog. I know I am having 2 vlogs back to back, which I didn't really want to do, but I took a little bit of a break from posting, just 1, because I was exhausted, and 2, because the video that I was supposed to upload, which I think you're seeing 2 weeks before this one, that video, my laptop was having issues in terms of like storage things, and it took a while to edit. So I just gave myself a break, and I'm like, okay, I have 2 vlogs that I am pretty much in the middle of, so here we are. So the last vlog, I cut it a little bit short just because I was doing the book harvest festival and I didn't want that video to be like super long. And I was in the middle of a few books in that one that I just didn't finish. And I'm not gonna actually talk about those books in this video because I'm actually putting those on pause for now while I do my paranormal romance binge. Like, I've been saying for months that I'm in the paranormal romance mood, and so this readathon is coming at like the right time. So if you don't know what the Love in the Night readathon is, it is hosted by quite a few people. There is Heather, there is Izzy, there is Robin. I want to say Shay is also in this one, and I feel like there's like 2 other people that I cannot think of right now, but it's hosted by quite a few people. And they do this twice a year, one time in the spring and one time in the fall. I wasn't able to participate in the spring because I was in a huge reading slump at that point, and I wasn't really like reaching for romance at all. But like I said, I've been in a paranormal romance mood, so perfect time to join. So now this readathon is very like broad in terms of participating. Really all you have to do to participate is read 1 paranormal book, and yeah, you completed the challenge. But they do also have like a bingo, and they have like a scavenger hunt. That's what it is. I personally won't be doing the bingos or the scavenger hunt just because I don't read that fast. Like, I'm not reading like a ton of paranormal romance in 1 week. I just can't read that fast. And so I just want to participate and read paranormal romance. So you actually saw from the clips before that I was decorating for fall, and I actually read the first book for this one. And the first book that I read for this vlog, and I actually finished it as well, I was reading Loving Safoa. This is a sapphic vampire story. I really did like this. It's not what you would typically get from a paranormal romance. I feel like this one is way more literary, but I actually appreciated the story for that. It is basically telling this love story between these 2 women. It's in multiple timelines, so it's not like linear, but in like the jump to timeline, like we get instances of like how one of them became a vampire, just like their relationship, and there's even like a part that happens in like the future. So yeah, definitely way more literary than like I would say a normal paranormal romance is. But like I said, like I did appreciate it for that. Like, it was something different. I also really just feel like the way that the author built like the tension between these 2 characters was amazing. Like, there was just one scene at the beginning, like one of the characters is a tattoo artist, and the tension in that scene, it was erotic, but like they weren't doing anything, and I'm just like, wow. Like, it was amazing. And there are like a couple of like spicy scenes and stuff, but like they're not like super long or whatever. But I definitely felt that romantic tension between them. But I also just really enjoyed that they had like these softer moments between them. Like, I feel like the way that they show their love for each other was one of my favorite things, just because it was kind of like a softer kind of thing. Like, it wasn't purely just because of like the sex. Of course they have that like lust for each other in the beginning, but like through the different timelines, like I feel like you kind of get the sense like of how they care for each other, and I really like that about this story. I also thought the vampire lore was interesting in this one. Safoa, who is the original vampire that turns her girlfriend into a vampire, she's actually from Ghana, I believe. Yeah, I believe it was Ghana. And while it's not like they're Ghanaian like vampires, like she was actually turned by like a white guy, and there was like trauma associated with like how she was turned. But I appreciated that like it wasn't just in the US. Like, it takes place in like multiple different places. And I also really appreciated like towards the end there was like this one place that it almost sounded like a utopia for these characters. And yeah, I don't want to get too much in depth about it, but like I really appreciated the story. I gave it like 4 stars. I thought that it was a solid literary vampire story. It really gave me that like seduction that I really love in vampire stories, but also just those like sweet moments between these two characters that are in love with each other. I liked it. So yeah, that was my first read for The Love in the Night. I have also started Magic Bites. I've been saying for years that I'm going to get to this. At this point, like Heather has recommended me this book, I want to say like 3 years ago, and I'm finally getting to it. This is an older paranormal romance book. I want to say like early 2000s, back when like I wouldn't have been reading something like this. But Heather thought that I would enjoy it, and like I've been saying, I've been craving more of the older paranormal vibes where it's like darker, grittier, and like in like a long series, and we see that like progression over like a long series. I feel like that's why I started rewatching the originals, just because it does have that more darker external plot stuff happening, and that's what I've been craving. And so I started this. I am 74 pages into it right now. And I will say, I'm not in love with the beginning. I feel like there was just like a lot of info dumping about the world and just like a lot of setup. And I will also say that I'm not like the hugest fan of like kind of like detective kind of things, because what Kate, the main character, is doing, she is basically trying to solve the murder of her guardian, and she's going around to like all these different people trying to like pick up clues and stuff. And it's not necessarily my favorite thing. Like, I'm not a detective mystery kind of person, but I do think that the world is intriguing. There's definitely a lot of paranormal creatures in this one. There's an interesting like society around it as well. I think that we met the love interest, Quo, something. I don't know, something that starts with a C. I believe he will be the love interest. At least that's what I got from some of the reviews, because I was just like, is it just me, or is this first book like not the best? But it seems like from what I gathered from the reviews that the first book, it didn't start out so well. So yeah, I'm willing to give it at least the first 2 books to see how I feel about the series. But yeah, right now I'm not in love with it, but I'm thinking that it will like pick up a little bit better. And it's not super long. I could see myself finishing this in this video, hopefully, but I don't know. We'll see. I did create a TBR for myself, so I'll put that on the screen. And there are quite a few books on here that I do want to get to. I try to really prioritize the books that I have had on my Kindle TBR for a long time, because I need to get through some of my digital ebooks. Like, I need to. So these are just a few books that I've had on my Kindle TBR for quite a while. So I'm trying to get through some of the shorter ones so I can just knock those off, and maybe I'll be introduced to a new author. So yeah, but I believe that's all I really wanted to like update on. It's already Thursday, so I'm very late in updating, but I did want to come on here and at least start the video with like what I've been reading and stuff like that. But I think right now I'm gonna make myself some breakfast, probably just like a smoothie. I'm not really feeling breakfast, but I'm starving and I need to eat something, but I don't feel like cooking anything, but I don't feel like ordering anything either, because I spent so much money at Book Harvest. I don't know, I need to eat something, so I'm gonna try to get breakfast. I will probably read more of the Magic Bites. These chapters are kind of long though, so I don't think I'll finish another chapter, but yeah, I think that's my plan for now. Reading, breakfast, and then go to work. So I will check in at another time. It is time to wrap up this vlog because Love in the Night is over and I have finished my reads for what I was using to participate in this readathon. So it's actually been a few days since this readathon ended, but in the middle of this video, which I didn't show any like clips of or anything, but I had a dentist appointment and just on the spot I decided to get my last wisdom tooth out, and so I just didn't really feel like talking or doing anything with a huge gaping hole in my mouth. So I was resting my mouth and not trying to talk a lot because I guess there's like some kind of like bone thing that can happen, and I was like, I'm not chancing it. I have a lot of stuff going on and upcoming that I'm just like, I cannot risk being in a severe pain. So I was just like, I'm not gonna update until now. So here we are. So there are actually two other books that I finished in addition to loving Safoa. So the first one that I finished was Love is a Beast by Lynch. This is an author that I've been seeing for a while, just in the Black fantasy paranormal space. I feel like they mostly write paranormal books, so like I recognize the name, and this is actually a book that I had on my own TBR that I never got to. It was super short, so I decided let me just knock this off my TBR and see what I think of this author's writing. And honestly, I feel like this author, they didn't necessarily impress me with wanting to like actually get another one of their books. I'm not sure if I have any of their other books on my own TBR, but if I do, I think I would try it. But like, I don't think this is an author that I would necessarily like want to just reach for, just because when I was reading this, I feel like this author falls into the trap of not really knowing how to do a novella. I feel like there was just pacing issues. Like, I feel like a lot of authors, like they try to put so much into a novella when it's supposed to be a contained story. And this one, like, I feel like it could have benefited from being an actual novel. And a lot of their books, just from what I was seeing of their catalog, it seems like they write more on the shorter side, so more the novella format, but I just don't think that the novella was done well. I feel like there was just so much going on. So the general idea of the story is that like, there's this girl, she breaks up with her boyfriend because he's cheating on her again, and she comes upon this werewolf shifter that she ends up getting with, which is basically the whole premise of the story. Of course, she doesn't know what he is, and she's kind of discovering that, and then there's this whole other plot that happens like towards the middle. But yeah, I just feel like the beginning was kind of slow, and I'm kind of okay with that just because we're like slowly trying to figure out like who are these people. Like it's kind of like that mystery aspect of like there's something off about like this character, but I almost feel like that tension with that mystery wasn't there, and I kind of missed that. And that's one of the things that I liked about paranormal romance, like when I read it, is just that like tension of this being like this other creature, and maybe even like the mystery to just even like discover like who they are, or I don't know, just when like there's a character that doesn't know who the other person is. Like I like that tension to be built, and I don't think that that was in this one. I also don't think that the chemistry was really there either. I feel like for this story, the chemistry was probably built off of the page, because I feel like they get together and then they have like one little scene, and then like months pass by, and then they're just like a couple, and then like the conflict happens. And I just wish for paranormal romance we could have like seen some of those scenes of them falling in love with each other. And I almost feel like that's why I partly like just did not care for a lot of what happened, just because like I don't have any investment in this couple. Everything that they bonded on, like I feel like it was off page. They just kind of felt like they were together because it's the plot, and it wasn't my favorite. And then like the later half of the book is just very like back-to-back action, so you have like this very slow beginning that's like kind of, I guess, trying to build a relationship, but not really, because it happens off page. But whatever, you have this like first half of the book that's slow, and then you have the second half of the book that's just like constant action things happening, and I just wasn't in love with it. The pacing was just off for me. Pair that with the fact that I did not like this female main character. I can't even really remember her name, but she was just kind of annoying. And I will say that's like one of the things that I don't like sometimes about like the female main character that doesn't really like know anything. They just annoy me at times. So she was definitely one of those characters that I did not like. I feel like the werewolf part could have been cool if we got a little bit more of it, but I almost feel like because like the plot was happening like so fast in the second half, even when she did like discover that there was werewolves, like I was interested to hear more about like their like that pack and like their structure and stuff like that. But with the way that the book ended, which I'm not gonna say in case you actually want to read this, but with the way that the book ended, I don't think we'll ever like get that because of what happens. So there's nothing really calling me to this book. I guess the only thing I would say about this book that I liked is potentially the male main character. But even then, like I'm not in love with him. Like I don't have any pull towards him, because like he just was there. I mean, yeah, so I have no strong connection to this one. I thought it was average. I thought it could have been better. So yeah, there's that one. The second one that I finished was Magic Bites, which I finished right on the last day that the readathon was. So I was able to finish that. And this one, I feel like I would give like 3.5 stars. This one, I definitely feel the old school paranormal vibes, which considering it was written in 2008, like makes it understandable. But I definitely felt that, and I really liked it. I felt that the world had like a lot of interesting creatures and dynamics and things, so that was like an interesting thing to explore. I'm not sure I quite understand everything, but of course there's like 10 books, so pretty sure at the end of that I'll probably understand it if I get to the last 10 books. We'll see. But I wasn't in love with the beginning. As I was saying, I felt like it was a lot of setup and just like a lot of descriptions of things that almost felt like info dumping at some points, that I just found it hard to connect with anything. And I didn't actually really like Kate at all. Like I just felt like she's just one of those like old paranormal protagonists. Like she's special, she's kind of, is it like sarcastic or maybe like a dry humor or something? Like I just wasn't in love with her voice, and not necessarily like her character, but she's just like a typical early 2000s character. Like I didn't expect anything less from that. But I will say that I liked this book enough that I want to try the next one just to see. Like everyone that I've talked to has said that the later books get better, And so I'm willing to try it. Like, they're less than 300 pages. So I'm willing to try the next one. We'll see how I think about that one. Because of the things that I did like, which I haven't said yet, but like, I did like Kieran, I think his name is. He's definitely like the alpha male kind of character that we see these days. But I actually felt like he was a character, which is so interesting. Because I feel like a lot of the male main characters that we see nowadays, like, they don't necessarily feel like developed people. But Kieran, he's like a shifter, and he's alpha, like he's an alpha male and like the beast leader, I guess. But I don't know, I just feel like there's more to his character, and I like that. Like, I was intrigued with him, that I'm curious how their romance will grow and develop. The next thing that I really liked is that I feel like the plot was there. I said before that I'm not really into like mystery plot things, and I'm still not, but what I appreciated with this story is that like the mystery plot and like the romantic plot, like they just kind of like went together. Like, these two characters are falling in love because they're together on like this plot, and I feel like that's honestly what's missing in a lot of romances these days. Like, the external plot isn't necessarily connected to the romance. A lot of romance books these days, to me, feel like these characters are together because it's a romance book, not necessarily because these two characters have their own separate goals and things that they want, and as they are both working towards something in the plot, they start to fall in love. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's kind of the vibe that I'm feeling when I was reading this one, as opposed to some of my other reads when it comes to paranormal, fantasy romance, and just regular romance in general. So I really appreciated the story for that. I also really loved the descriptions in this one. They were so visceral. I did think, like I said before, that sometimes that the descriptions felt a little info dumping, but I feel like the times that the authors were describing like the monsters and the like action scenes and stuff, like, it was very visceral. Like, I can imagine it, and I usually have a hard time like imagining things, but yeah, like, I feel like it really just built that like urban fantasy vibe, which I really enjoyed. So yeah, I think I would give this one like 3.5 stars. It's definitely not a 4-star for me, but like I said, I'm intrigued enough to continue to the next book and see how I think about it. But I think that's it for this video. I am happy that I was able to participate this time. I feel like they've been doing this for like years at this point, and I feel like this is the first time I've been able to actually complete things, and I completed 3 things. I have been saying for months that I'm in a paranormal mood, and I feel like despite not loving all of them, I feel like it definitely fed into that paranormal urban fantasy mood that I've been in. So I really appreciate it for that. I'm really hoping that for the next round, I will be in a paranormal mood. But yeah, we will see. I still feel like reading urban fantasy, paranormal romance stuff. So I don't know, we'll see how that goes. Let me know if you have read any of these books below and like what your thoughts are on them, especially if you've read Melody Lynch, because maybe it's just that one novella that I just wasn't in love with, that isn't necessarily like their best work. So I don't know, if you know any other books by that author that could be more up to my speed, then please let me know. But if you don't want to comment anything about that, you can also just leave whatever emoji I put on the screen. But until next time, I will see you in my next video. Bye.